I went for the platinum in Suicide Squad and it felt like I was joining the squad for real. It was painful, chaotic, and borderline self-destructive. I've been dodging brainwashed heroes, grinding out repetitive side ops, and questioning my life choices every step of the way. But now, I'm finally done. I decided to go for the platinum within Suicide Squad. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the highs, the lows, and the overall grind for the platinum itself, and whether it's worth the madness. So lock in, grab a snack, and let's dive into Task Force X's toughest mission yet. My name is Mitch and welcome to Gamer, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hold on, wait. If you don't know about this game or what it's about, let me help you out. You'll be introduced to Task Force X, humanity's last-ditch effort and last hope to put a stop to Brainiac, a supervillain who had taken over the entire Justice League and forced them to become his soldiers and servants. It will be up to 4 unlikely villains that Argus has taken command of and are using them to put a stop to the invasion. You'll be able to play as Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark. The game is a looter shooter and does have some live service aspects to it, but honestly for the purpose of this video, I didn't really focus on the live service aspects. I honestly completely ignored it and played this entire game solo. But now let's get into the platinum journey. I decided to start off by looking up a guide for the game to get a rough idea on how long it would take me to complete. I found a guide on PSN profiles that said the game would take about roughly 50 hours. Also, there is 51 trophies for me to earn within this game. Now 50 hours is nothing compared to what I've played recently. Also, looking at a guide, they recommended finishing the story first and then jumping into the side content and doing the incursions. So, we'll get more into that later. Also, a small disclaimer, I'm not sure when I connected my Warner Bros. Account to my PS5. I'm assuming when I played Shadow of War recently, that was actually when I did it. But I actually did purchase the game when it originally came out and I refunded it on Steam about like an hour into it. Mostly because I paid for the $100 version of it and I thought it was absolute garbage. It ran piss poorly on my computer that I spent thousands of dollars on, and at the time I think I had a 4080 graphics card and it was still running terribly. But anyways, the reason I'm telling you this is because, well, when I started this game and instead of starting a new game, the game actually started me off where I left off in chapter 2. Now this wasn't a bad thing since there was a chapter select option, so technically no trophies are missable within this game, but this did mean that I missed out on a few already. And I didn't want to exactly figure out how to go back and get them, so I just kind of continued playing the game from chapter 2. But let's jump into where I left off, and it was actually when we were looking for the Flash, because he actually saved Task Force X when he was fighting off the Green Lantern. Like I said, I didn't realize it was actually going to start me at this point, and honestly, I had no idea how to play the game, since I haven't played it since the game originally launched. But once I actually figured out how to play the game again, and I managed to find the Flash, Task Force X took the Flash and ran away, and they actually got met with the Batman experience. And, well, they got their asses kicked. But nobody died, so that's a win. And we got the first trophy of the run, hit in the fan. We are now locked into the platinum run for this game. And after a little bit more of the story, we managed to discover Penguin and force the neural implant into his head and got the trophy Foul Play. After I progressed the story further, we attempted going to Lex Luthor's building to try to remove the neural implants embedded within our brains. But we were met by Waller, and after a cutscene, we got the trophy Walled In. Man, they're pretty witty with these ones. Right after the cutscene though, we discovered Luthor was hiding Poison Ivy. We did end up tracking her down, only to discover that she was a small child version of herself. So she wasn't actually Poison Ivy herself. But after completing her mission, we managed to get a second support member and got the trophy Death Blooms. I took a break after this mission though, and I decided to work on some of the support character missions. So after completing some of those, I managed to unlock the ability to overhaul gear, and after I overhauled my first piece of gear, I got the trophy Choices. I then managed to get my first character to level 10 for the trophy Level Up. Now I decided I wanted to continue on with the main story, and I decided to go on a hunt for Lex Luthor. And I didn't realize we were actually going to have to save him from the Flash, because he was also searching for him. Shortly after meeting up with the Flash, who's actually evil now, we are introduced to a giant cannon that got warped into this universe. But after a little bit of time, Task Force X finally manages to shut it down, and I end up getting the trophy Blitzkrieg Bop. Now right after taking down this giant cannon, Lex Luthor was actually killed. But we did manage to get a piece of tech that we would be able to use to take down the Flash, but he destroyed it. We actually met a kid called the Toyman who was able to recreate the tech so that way we could take on the Flash finally. And after some time, I finally managed to beat him, and I finally got the trophy Thunderstruck. With the defeat of Flash, we ended up getting transported to another Earth, where we did meet a different version of Lex Luthor. We can call him Lex 2. After a little bit of time, we managed to get him back to our Earth, and I got the trophy Helen Back. Now with the help of Lex 2, I managed to break into Batman's vault and get a yellow ring, which would help me take down the Green Lantern. And finally, after beating him, I got the trophy Blackest Night. The next thing to do was take on Batman. And after beating him and using his own fear gas on him, I got the trophy Endgame. I decided at this point I wanted to chill out on the main story and I wanted to go back to some of the support missions. And I managed to finish the Penguin support mission and got the trophy Winged Vengeance. And after doing a couple more for a few different characters, which I never actually completed it yet, I decided it was time to go back to the main story and just get it done with. So next I had to take on Superman. Yeah, it really wasn't a crazy difficult fight, it just took a little bit of time. And after beating him, I got the trophy Abandon All Hope. All that was left in the main story was to defeat Brainiac. But before I did the final mission, I opted to finish a few more of the support missions, and I completed Hacks, Gizmos, and Rick Flag's missions, and I got the following trophies: Shock Treatment, War Machine, Managing People. At the same time as completing all of those support missions, I did manage to level up Deadshot to max level, and get the trophy Lawton's Last Stand. Right after this, I ended up beating Brainiac, and completed the story. And this ended up unlocking the endgame content, which fucking sucks. But that's for later. Before getting into the endgame content, I decided to go back and finish the rest of the support missions, so that way I could just solely focus on the endgame content when I was ready. And I had got the following trophies: Welcome to the Jungle, The World Is Mine, Combine and Conquer. After completing Ivy's support missions, I did manage to unlock Supercharging, and I supercharged an Affliction and got the trophy Forces in Motion. While doing all the support missions, I managed to complete the 5th Combat Flare checklist for the trophy The Chosen One. I also completed my first incursion and got the trophy Act of War. Real quick, these incursion missions are basically the endgame raids for this game. Think of it similar if you were playing World of Warcraft and you have to do raids at the end to get better gear. That's essentially what these are. You're just doing them to get better gear to make your characters better. Now, I personally thought that these incursions sucked and were not fun at all. But when you only have access to 3 of them and are basically forced to complete all of them on a higher difficulty to reach the platinum, it was kind of a pain. So essentially, to level up your mastery level for each one of them, you had to go back and complete each one on a higher level than the previous time that you did it. So the game essentially forces you to play all 3 of these, and 2 of them really aren't fun. But after completing my first 3 incursion missions, I decided to aim for all the Riddler related trophies first, and I managed to get a lot of them, so let's just fire them off. Turn and Turn Again, Stop Me If You've Heard This One, Their Dark Designs, Blazing Glory, the oldest one in the book, The Right Question, The Real Deal. I also got the trophy History Repeats for completing the Batman experience again, but without getting my ass kicked this time. Now, all that was left was leveling up all my characters to max level and reaching the highest incursion level and unlocking the Bane Infamy gear, which is essentially the endgame gear that you can get on Season 1, or Season 0 that this game calls it. Now, I'm not going to bore you with how mind-numbing and insanely irritating it was to complete these incursions. But like I mentioned, there's only 3 of them, and you're forced to basically do all 3 of them on a higher difficulty each time to upgrade your mastery level, which you need to do to unlock the higher level Bane gears that you need for the platinum. Now, honestly, I do feel like if I played this game casually and not for the platinum, I would have had a ton of fun with this, and it was way more enjoyable and fun at the end game. But going into these higher level incursions with different characters that were level 0 essentially to go for the platinum, it was such a pain. But anyways, I completed these incursions for 4 days straight when I had time in between work and my family, and I managed to get the following trophies: the Venom Connection, Battle Lines, Killing Time, Into the Angry Planet, All Sort of Fun, The Final Frontier, The Reaper. All while doing that, I was also completing a few other trophies and managed to unlock a Villain Synergy for the trophy Choice of Evils. I managed to max level all 3 of the remaining characters that I needed and got 3 trophies: Captain Boomerang, Agent of Oz, Harleen the Queen, King for a Day. I also managed to elite a weapon through Toyman and got the trophy Grand Experiment. I finished all the remaining support squad contracts and got the trophies Allies, Need to Know. Now, I was missing 2 story missions from the beginning of the game, like I mentioned at the start of the video. So with the help of the chapter select screen, I went back to chapter 1 and completed the trophies Trial by Fire and Cleaning Out the Closet. Now, the last 2 trophies I had in this game related to the hit squads and farming to squad level 50. Now, after finishing all the incursions, I focused on the hit squads and finished it fairly quickly and got the trophy Number the Dead. But the grind to squad rank 50 was stupid, and I mean that. It was a consistent 4 days of working on incursions and increasing my difficulty, and I still ended up having to grind a ton of levels. I think by the end of reaching the max incursions I needed to, I was still only squad rank 20. So I did end up grinding the fastest incursion on a lower difficulty, and I managed to finish this incursion within 4 to 5 minutes, but even with that, it still felt like it was taking forever. And it felt like it took 5 business days to finish this one trophy, and that was with the additional XP from weapons and gear and as well as the squad talent tree. But finally, after some time, and I mean like 2 days worth, I managed to hit squad rank 50, and I got the trophy Trial by Blood. And with that, we were finally done, and the platinum finally popped, the beginning of the end. So how was my experience with this game? Honestly, the game itself is pretty fun, and I'm glad I played it finally. Sure, it has some life service aspects, but it's not like I felt forced to purchase or buy anything. I mean, most of the stuff looks stupid anyways, but I did also go into this with one objective, and it was the platinum. I had no intention of doing anything else. Sure, I did honestly want to play the other characters that they had in there. I mean, they have Joker and Deathstroke, but I never got the opportunity because I didn't want to purchase them, and I didn't feel like sitting there and farming enough in-game currency to buy them. But like I said, I never felt forced to do it. Sure, I wanted to, but I wasn't going to. There is also a ton of content available within the endgame, but to me it felt like it wasn't really even needed. I mean, sure, it's great you have all these different seasons with different gear and additional characters added, but it feels like a total grind fest at the end of the day. But that's not why you're here. You're here to see how the platinum grind was, and honestly, there's a reason why the platinum has less than 1% platinum rate. It was a pain in the ass, and honestly, it was not worth the grind. I'm not going to say I regret doing this one, but I definitely don't think this would be one I would ever decide to do again, and this would probably be one I would stray you away from if you're a platinum hunter. I don't think it's worth your time, and I don't think it's worth the insane amount of time that it takes. And honestly, it really didn't take crazy long, but I think it took me roughly 40 hours. But the amount of time of that it's grinding is absolutely absurd. But there's my platinum review of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Drop any game names below or series of games that you want to see me platinum or 100%. And I'll see you in the next one.